No. I would 100% think he is overrated. There are many players at his position even that are better than him.
No. He's the best in the game. I don't know what you're talking about. He's from
You gotta be kidding me, man. Are you kidding? Are you serious?
Guys, come the on. We have a stinking podcast to do here, all right? Jeez Louise. Hi, everybody. This is the Predominantly Football Podcast, where we talk about a wide variety of sports, predominantly football. Cue the intro. Welcome again to the Predominantly Football Podcast. It is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. I am Ben Prowl here alongside Scott Lebo and Cole Isaacson. And before we get into some of the top sports news from around the globe, I'd like to send our sincere gratitude to you guys, our great viewers, for the waves of support we received from you, from the founding of our podcast to the first podcast we released, especially during the technical difficulties that came with uploading.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was a headache and a half. So thank you. We appreciate the support from the bottom of our hearts.
That's why we're recording a day early today.
Exactly. We got a docket today highlighted by recent developments from Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, some Micahel Thomas drama, along with legendary battles from the pitch, the green, and the gridiron. Now, let's be real here. As the Predominantly Football Podcast, we'd like to start out our news from the NHL.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, we're a football podcast. Let's start with the NHL, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Get ready, guys. We got loads of curveballs for you in store. The NHL Commissioner, Gary Bettman, has recently announced the details of the 2020 NHL season and playoffs. The regular season was deemed to be over, and that was met with sighs of great cheer from Red Wings fans. The top 4 teams from each conference will have a round-robin tournament, which is where each team will play each other, similar to what's used in the World Cup, the Euros.
Yeah, group stage matchups.
Literally every soccer tournament ever in the history of the planet. And that will be determined for playoff seeding. The remaining 8 best teams from each conference will have their own mini bracket, per se, a qualifying round, as it will commonly be referred to on this great podcast, where the 5 seed will play the 12 seed, or in terms of that, the 1 seed will play the 8 seed in best-of-5 series for playoff qualification. From there, the teams from the play-in will be seeded by point percentage per game. The draft lottery will run somewhat to how it normally does, with the bottom 7 being included for the race for the first overall pick. And there have been new sets set up for NHL season to resume. Phase 2, don't really know what Phase 1 is. I'm assuming it's this. Will be in early June, where clubs can return for facilities for small training.
Phase 2. What's Phase 1?
I think Phase 1 was cancellation.
Okay.
Phase 1 was admitting the NHL had a problem.
All right.
Which is then nullified, per se, by Phase 3, which is allowing for bigger training camps. I'm assuming the delay in allowing people to come back is due to the coronavirus. These Phase 3 will start no sooner than July 1st, which means on Canada Day, the Canadian teams will be going back to play hockey.
At the earliest.
Yeah, how fitting. After the 3-week or so of training camp, there will be Phase 4, which will start with the play where qualifying teams will go to the hub cities and the playoffs will resume. Cole, I want to get your thoughts on this. I know you're a big hockey guy.
Well, there's a lot of interesting things to look at, mostly the structure. We talked about this a little earlier, but those teams that were fringe playoff teams, or frankly teams that we knew weren't going to get it, are getting those shots. But I do like that they're giving the teams like the Arizona Coyotes, the Minnesota Wild, New York Rangers, the opportunity to basically finish out the regular season. Because while they said that the regular season is over, basically the qualifying round is a conclusion of that regular season.
Right, it's where you can really make your playoff push.
That's what that is.
For a regular season
push.
Right.
Let's see what else. There's also 2 hub cities that they're They're going to have 2 hub cities.
Yes.
One for Eastern play, one for Western play, and I'm interested to see how they get all of that done.
Right.
Because you have to, first of all, they have to have enough ranks.
Exactly.
Because their goal is to finish the qualifying rounds, round 1 and round 2, in about a month. That's their goal.
That's good for our cardiologists.
If you need to have enough ranks in order to facilitate that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hockey. With warm-ups and locker rooms, that's a whole lot of stuff.
Where you're using a rink all day.
Right.
You could be having games from 9 to 9.
That and this is the.
I mean, this is going to be like the Olympics. It's going to be like
honestly.
And it's the
except there's no people to enjoy it. That's the big
These
thing.
qualifying rounds are going to be played like the Stanley Cup playoffs, where they will literally play overtime until a winner is announced.
Wow. So no draws.
No, it doesn't matter if the game starts at 7 local time and they're still playing at 1. If nobody's scored, they're going to keep going.
They will keep going. I mean, I've never heard of a game going past the third overtime.
Actually, my dad went to a game, an old Caps game that went to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I remember staying up. It was the inaugural season for the Knights. The game started at 7 Pacific time. I lived in Vegas at the time. Game started at 7 Pacific time. When the double overtime against the Kings, we stayed up till about midnight. And it was closing in to the end of the second overtime, and I was just thinking, gosh, if they don't score soon, I might have to go to bed.
Yeah. 3 heart attacks later, the game finally ended.
Yeah. Eric Hollis scored the game-winning goal, and they won 2-1.
Gotta give props to Eric Holla.
But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. Hey, but the big thing is they have a plan to bring hockey back. That's something to celebrate.
Everybody needs to hear. Everybody needs more hockey in their lives.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So when I was studying the structure, I say studying with quotes. When I'm looking at this structure, you've got your plans, and they're looking at it to maybe be the later you go in the playoffs, the more games are per series. Like the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals, and then the Stanley Cup final would be 7-game series, with other games being 5-game series, which makes sense. You have a lot of time to make up for. But are we just going to acknowledge that it's exactly like the MLB playoffs? You have your play-in series where teams who are on the fringe get their chance to make it in. Like this year, it was Tampa Bay and Oakland in the American League. Then you have your 5-game series in the divisional round, your 7-game your series for the pennant, and then your 7-game World Series. It's exactly like the MLB playoffs. Am I complaining? Absolutely not. Playoff hockey is a miracle, even though our hearts don't like it. But it's a stunning similarity. I'm personally glad that hockey's going to be back. I'm wondering how many people booed Gary Bettman during his conference. Because that's a rule. Every commissioner must be booed, especially Bettman and Goodell.
Oh.
And
don't get me started on Goodell.
Don't get me started on Manfred. I keep saying this for another day. One day we're going to talk about Manfred, and the censor beep is just going to break from overuse. We'll leave it off at that. I'm really looking forward to this. I understand why you have to have the delayed period of time.
Yeah.
For all the time of just the little mini practices. I get it. Health and safety, blah, blah, blah. And
you
I
need
feel
to be back to 100% ready.
Right, yeah. It just doesn't make sense aside from that reason, which is the most important reason. Everything is done for the safety of the players, be it from the visors to the new helmets. I get Antonio Brown memories.
The helmet's Antonio Brown. Oh, man. That's last summer.
Credit to the NHL for letting them grandfather it in, though. But if it wasn't for the health and safety, why is there that big delay from the training camp starting up? Make it a 4-week training camp and let them go earlier, just so we can get this show on the road.
I think there's a few reasons.
Yes.
One, hockey's a grueling sport.
Right.
It's exhausting. You take a lot of big hits. You need to be ready and you need to be in shape to play hockey.
And it's the playoffs. It's shot blocking city. If you're not blocking shots, you're not on the
large
ice.
reason for the round robin games between the top 4 seeds in the conferences is you want to keep them fresh, because if it's an actual bye week, the advantage might actually go to the other team.
Right.
That's going to go into that series because
Yeah.
they're fresh.
Yeah.
Not fresh because they obviously played a long series, but they're like at least ready to go.
Yeah.
Betting games.
The other reason for this long period of time is, like we talked about a little bit last time, there some people are predicting a second spike in cases of coronavirus.
Right.
And so it's really important to be overly careful,
to
be prepared that, if there is a second spike in cases that, we will be prepared.
Right.
We have something ready. We're not back to playing again, at which point, we've played half of the qualifying games. What are we going to do now? No, you give it time to make sure that this process can actually work, and then you implement it.
And if nothing goes wrong,
it'll be amazing.
Just wait. Patience is a virtue.
Yeah, and honestly, patience. It's gonna build suspense.
Yes.
And it's sports coming back, and everybody is ready for sports to come back. So when the NHL comes back, and I know I've been watching as much soccer as possible since it's come back.
So are you.
Once hockey comes back, it's gonna be insane how many people are gonna be watching. So, and I know the NFL draft was the most people has ever tuned into an NFL draft before. And it makes sense. And, that's the type of thing that's going to happen when the NHL comes back.
People watch the NFL draft.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll watch the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
It's going to be, in terms of adrenaline and it's going to be 0 to 60 really quick for American sports fans. Going from watching Tom Brady and Peyton Manning play golf. More to come on that later. More suspense.
You love suspense.
To the Stanley Cup playoff, which is, you're going to have heart attacks right away. Just, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, no.
Clear.
You're going from nothing to the playoffs, man.
The Stanley Cup playoffs started up.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are one of the
skyrocket.
most stressful time frames for sports fans in general.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, because I don't really watch as much hockey as I watch the Bruins. That's about it. I'm trying to think, if I was watching the NFL and they just skipped the regular season and started straight into the playoffs, how stressful that would be. Single game elimination. I'm like,
right.
And then imagine you get past the wild card. You're in the conference championship. You haven't had a whole season to build up your your ability to take what you're going through, right?
Right.
Oh, man. It's going to be really interesting. And to see if, these players are actually going to be ready, if they're going to be in shape. It could be, quite a cagey affair, these games. It could be all over the place. People aren't able to keep the puck. It could be really interesting. It could be a different sport than what we're used to watching.
I thought you were going to say KGB for a second. I'm like, there are a lot of wrestlers. I'll give you that.
No.
All right. So looking
that's
at
a soccer fan type of thing to say. It's a cagey affair out there.
So looking at the qualifying rounds for the Western Conference, these will be the best of 5 game series. Edmonton versus Chicago, the old dynasty, the only dynasty that hockey fans my age have really seen. It's the Blackhawks dynasty against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and 18 other guys.
And I think an interesting thing about that one is that those two teams actually played pretty recently, pretty close to when the pause happened. And the Blackhawks actually beat up on the Oilers 4-1.
I would struggle to see Edmonton losing that. Connor McDavid's just too fast. All right, then we have this is one that could be really good because Arizona showed a lot of promise when they traded for Taylor Hall. Nashville versus Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah. The glory of Pekka Rinne's goalie goal against the young Coyotes in the desert, trying to stay in Arizona and not Houston. This one could be good. Vancouver and Minnesota.
One I'm most looking forward to, I think, is Minnesota and Vancouver.
That could be a great game.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Pedersen's legit.
So what's this? Can you explain a little bit more the round robin process you were talking about?
Yeah. So I'm going to use the Western tier. So based on the points that they had, in the West, the top 4 teams are St. Louis, surprising, Colorado, Vegas, and Dallas. They were the 4 clear-cut best teams in the West. So in the round robin, they would play every team. So St. Louis would play Colorado, Vegas, and Dallas. Dallas plays all 3 teams. Colorado plays all 3 teams. And then whoever has the best record, or maybe they would do it based on points or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but they would then be
they'd have the number
one seed.
Right.
And then as far as over here, they play
Interesting thing about
5 rounds or 5
5-game series.
5-game series, okay.
And then whoever gets out of these...
The interesting thing about a round robin is that you have previews of what might be the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they only play one game in the round robin? Yeah,
yes.
They play each team once?
Yes.
Understanding of it,
yeah. That's going to be really interesting. That's a lot of hockey, though.
Yeah. All right. And then whoever gets out of the best of 5 qualifiers, let's say Edmonton beats Chicago, Nashville beats Arizona, Minnesota upsets Vancouver, and Calgary versus Winnipeg. The series I'm probably least looking forward to. Let's give Calgary a first-round playoff win. They don't have many of those. Let's be nice to them. So they would get seeded, I'm fairly certain, Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, based on point percentage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Edmonton has the lowest point percentage, they would get the unfortunate task of playing number 1, who I am dead set in my ways think it would be St. Louis. But that's a question I'm actually going to ask.
I mean, it's St. Louis right now, so St. Louis should be the favorites going in.
Yeah.
I think that Colorado was definitely hot at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And you can never count out Vegas or Dallas.
Right.
Yeah.
Dallas proved a lot of people wrong, and they're going to be looking to beat St. Louis hard.
And
that
Vegas is an incredibly unpredictable team.
Right.
The fact that they made it as far as they did in their first season in the NHL, you never know what you're going to get from them.
Colorado's game is entirely based on speed. Vegas can play speed with them. And then in the Eastern Conference matchups, the 4 in the round robin, I think this would be crazy. Boston,
oh my goodness.
Tampa, Washington, and Philadelphia.
Jeez.
That's
incredible.
Insane. That's actual insanity.
Wow.
Both of these round robins are amazing.
Yeah, but
I think the interesting thing is
specifically
that
that top 3 is incredible.
The last 3 President's Trophy winners, actually the last 4, because Washington won it 2 years.
Boston, Tampa, and Washington is going to be, and I'm not counting out Philadelphia, but
Philadelphia is looking to surprise people.
Oh my goodness, those 3 are incredible.
The funniest thing about all of this is that it just delays the amount of time since Tampa Bay's last playoff win, which was Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018.
Yeah.
That's just so funny. They got swept last year. And then in the best of 5 qualifying rounds, this could be really good. I don't know why Montreal's not great. Montreal versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I mean, if Carey Price is hot, Montreal can do fine.
Yeah.
Against Crosby and Malkin, and you can never count out the Penguins in the playoffs. If you do, you lose. It's just that simple. The Caps learned this a couple years ago. They're doing great. They stop playing for 1 minute. Pittsburgh scores 3 goals. They lose the game 3-2.
I mean, the way I look at it with Pittsburgh, though, is that they haven't gone to the conference finals since they won those back-to-back Stanley Cup. They haven't made it. And everybody thought, even though the Islanders were the higher seed, everybody thought that Pittsburgh would just beat them and they'd move on. They got Washington like it always is. Well, Pittsburgh got swept.
And it wasn't just they were embarrassed.
They were embarrassed on their home ice twice.
Yeah, it was. And then you could argue that Washington embarrassed them too at parts. So Pittsburgh's going to come out with vengeance. This could be the battle of the young teams of the future.
Yeah.
Carolina versus the Rangers. The Rangers surged, but Chris Kreider's injury really going to affect them. I mean, he's not going to be able to play because you can't play on a broken leg unless your name is Erik Karlsson. Against the Storm Surge and Svechnikov's lacrosse-style goals. That could be really good. Then we have the Islanders and the Panthers. Barkov finally gets to the playoffs. That could be a really defensive-based series. And then Toronto versus Columbus, which could be a fun series to watch.
Can I just say how disappointed I am that it didn't line up that Florida would play Columbus?
Yeah, that would have been wonderful. Toronto fans are just happy that they probably won't have to play Boston in the first round.
Oh, honestly.
We don't get to lose in a Game 7. We get to lose in a Game 5. Woohoo!
I just wanted to see Sergei Bobrovsky against his former team in the qualifying round, but I'm disappointed that didn't pan out.
All right, gentlemen. Switching gears, it is time for Beef of the Week. An Instagram story I put up a week or two ago posed a question that it's a question that we could debate here on the show because it's that interesting. Is it harder to cover Micahel Thomas one-on-one or beat Stephon Gilmore one-on-one? Devontae Parker, a receiver for the Miami Dolphins, who gets to play Gilmore twice a year, which I think is important, weighed in on the debate, arguing that it's harder to beat Gilmore. And this found its way to Micahel Thomas, and that's where the beef began. We've got some more drama history from Scott Lebo. Take it away, please, sir.
All right. So basically how it all started was Fox posted this poll on Instagram, which asked, which is tougher, make a catch while guarded by Stephon Gilmore or break up a pass while guarding Micahel Thomas? And, you would expect, since there was so much beef, that you would expect that Devontae Parker came out and he started with something big. But he literally stated, he commented on this post saying, A, which is the option saying that making a catch while being guarded by Stephon Gilmore is harder. All he said was A,
Sweet
to which
simpleton. Thomas
Thomas responded, for you, yes. Parker then said, no. Thomas then also said, go run some numbers up. Then you can talk. I lapped you, and you've been in the league longer than me, first rounder, closing with a laughing emoji. And so basically Parker then shot back with saying, makes it pretty easy when you get targeted 300 times a game. And so they kind of went back and forth with this a lot. But I'm trying to find the exact quote.
The exact quotes are very important.
Yeah.
Don't plagiarize, kids.
Well, Thomas said a few things. One of which he said was, you can't even get a seat at the table, to Parker. So, yeah, I had the quote earlier. I can't seem to find it now. But he said something along the lines, get the effing hell out of here. You're not even close to me. Something along the lines of that.
So Micahel Thomas won the award, pretty much.
Yeah. Parker at first really was not trying to get involved with the argument, saying stuff along the lines of, I don't know, telling him to stop crying, basically, and then they started to fight a little bit.
Put your big boy pants on.
Yeah. Really, Micahel Thomas got upset about Devontae Parker having an opinion on a poll. What are you guys' thoughts on the drama itself, rather than either of them as players or even the debate of who's better, Gilmore or Thomas or whatever?
Right.
Well, I think that there's two ways to tell a story, first of all. I think that, we told it from one side. Obviously, we told it from one side. And, we don't know what Micahel Thomas was thinking. Based on what I know, it was an overreaction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, based off of what everybody knows, because we don't know the whole story.
I certainly hope it wasn't an underreaction.
Yeah.
That'd be Antonio Brown levels of reacting.
Yeah.
Do I think that the whole thing, the debate between who's good or Gilmore or Thomas, is it matter?
We're not there yet.
Oh,
yeah.
It matters what they do on the field, right?
Yeah.
That's what matters. Are they going to produce for their teams? The answer for both is yes, they are.
Yeah.
They have. And they both earned the big money that they've gotten over their careers. And
Yeah.
I think that it is an overreaction because I'm sure a lot of people selected A or B on that poll.
Yeah.
And just because a fellow NFL wide receiver who does play Stephon Gilmore twice a year, and his opinion's warranted because he plays him twice a year. He knows how hard it is to beat him. Even though he did beat him pretty badly
in Week 17. That makes it pretty interesting. That just goes to show how good Gilmore is in the eyes of his peers.
I'm also gonna build off this a little. To Cole's idea of there were definitely a lot of comments that said A and B. Bengals wide receiver TJ, and I'm not even gonna try to say his last name.
Houshmandzadeh.
Okay.
He's the jagoff who rubbed the terrible towel on his shoes. That's stupid.
He jumped in and said, as answer for me, look at the stats. Damn near every ball thrown to Thomas was a completion. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. So, which kind of to me builds my idea that Micahel Thomas is a little baby. Or acted like he was a little immature there, but because if he has people coming from both sides,
right,
he's choosing which to respond to. Exactly. And honestly, that's a poor mentality to have, because as an athlete, you should probably try to focus on the positive rather than the negative. Right. You want to notice how people are seeing you as a better player. You don't want to get into these debates, because that kind of ruined Antonio Brown's career, stuff like this. Yeah. It also had a little bit to do with the fact that he had some allegations against him, but it ruined Brown's career.
He made his general manager so angry that in the conversation with him, he had to punt a football.
But, There's a little bit more with the Antonio Brown stuff, but that's really similar. And if I were Thomas, I would have tried to stay a little bit more calm. I probably would have hoped not. And then again, I'm not a professional athlete. I don't know what I would have done in the situation. But it seems like the smarter thing to do to kind of stay out of it. And
Just let your game do the talking. And before we go into the stats, this has been Predominantly Football Podcast's presentation of Beef of the Week.
All right. So to further build off of into this massive debate that we're about to have, because we've been having this debate multiple times in the lead up to this. This is the only time that you guys are going to get to listen to it.
We had to actually get cops almost just to say, okay, well, Micahel Thomas, no, just stop.
We're not going there anymore.
We're not going to take that risk. Caution tape.
So, basically, the thing that's been posed by a lot of fan pages and NFL pages is that Micahel Thomas is quote unquote overrated, which is a term that we don't really like to use here very much, because it is kind of derogatory towards NFL players and they're professional athletes, for crying out loud.
If you asked me to go, I've literally never put on pads.
Yeah,
literally. So take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. I can't run a 4.340. I can't run a 4.390.
Yeah.
I'm a baseball player. It takes me 5 seconds to get out the line.
Yeah.
So I cannot really judge them.
Yeah. But the question that we're going to attempt to answer here, and we're going to debate about, and I use this word hesitantly, but is Micahel Thomas overrated? Do people say he's much better than he actually is? We're going to pose this to Cole first.
Yes.
I think that obviously the drama he got into wasn't mature, and I think that he could have handled that better. But I don't think that changes that the respect he's gotten is the respect he deserves. He got Offensive Player of the Year. He deserved Offensive Player of the Year for the season he had. He got Pro Bowl. He deserved Pro Bowl for the season that he had.
Yeah.
Right.
He had a great season.
I'm just going to read the stats. I'm going to read the big stats off the bat.
Of course.
1,725 receiving yards. That is number one in the league by far.
Yeah.
Second isn't really close.
That's over 100 yards per game.
Yeah, that's about 107 yards per game.
Even if you count his playoff game in for that with no yards, that's over 100 yards. Or maybe around per game.
149 catches, number one in the league by far.
Yeah.
I think that's number one in the league by about 30, at least. That is also an NFL record. That is NFL history. Nobody in the league in the 100-year start, since the league started over 100 years ago, nobody has ever had 149 catches in a season.
Yeah.
And Micahel Thomas did that just this last year.
Yeah.
So just those stats alone.
Snaps.
Record breaking.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Continue. We're just happy.
All right, Cole, are you done?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. We talk really quick. Dak Prescott, Micahel Thomas. Who are we going to talk about next? Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, who's overrated?
Is Kirk Cousins still overrated? We don't know yet. We still don't know. America does not know. I think I know, I said this last time. I'm going to say it this time. Everything has context. Systems affect the way you use people. DeAndre Hopkins is the main comparison to Michael Thomas. I know Julio's in his division, and Julio's still a very good receiver, but Julio hasn't scored a touchdown in Julio hasn't scored a touchdown since the Super Bowl, I think.
No, we love you, Julio.
He has.
When you're Julio Jones, though, Julio Jones is letting fantasy owners down, and as a fantasy owner, I don't like that. So I'm not going to talk about Julio Jones.
But, yeah.
When you think about Hopkins, they play two different styles. Michael Thomas, here's that, lowest rate of targets beyond 20 yards. So where are they throwing it? Julian Edelman, 10%. Cole Beasley, 8%. 2 slot receivers. Jameson Crowder, 8%. Another slot receiver. Michael Thomas, 4%.
So, and just to explain that stat, that's the percent of passes they receive or are targeted on further than 20 yards downfield. So Michael Thomas was only targeted past 20 yards downfield 4% of his the times he was targeted.
Right. And that means, okay, is he a true wideout? Is he your X receiver? Is he the guy you're going to say, okay, go run this 15-yard post, get us the first down? No. Michael Thomas is the guy who'll say, okay, let's put you in the slot, run on the slant.
Yeah. Because
slot corners are tiny and Michael Thomas is big. Is it Michael Thomas's fault that he's lined up in the slot? No. What's he going to do? Say, no, Sean Payton, I'm not going to do your thing. Then he really is Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
But that has to be taken into account. If you're getting dinked and dunked down the field for catch it 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, run for another 2 yards.
Yeah.
6 yards, you do that, you're going to get 100 yards a game. Just because you're up against slot corners.
Yeah.
And linebackers. Linebackers are too slow. Slot corners are too small.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to muscle his way to get the ball if he's playing in the slot. And I think that has to be counted. Whereas Hopkins, who's going down the field, making plays on the corners, who are tall and are fast, and he's putting up these numbers, I think that has to be appreciated more as who's the better wideout.
Yeah. So, once again, I want to start off by giving my kudos to Michael Thomas because even though I'm going to make the argument that I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, I will say I think he is the best underneath wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
He is probably one of the better receivers at making a catch in traffic. If you have a 10-yard pass down the field where there's a linebacker in there and maybe a safety's coming in and he's being covered and he's going to take a hit after he makes his catch, Michael Thomas is brave. He's going to stand in there. Right. He's going to make that catch, hold on to it, take the hit, get up and celebrate.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, and I give him full credit for what he does.
Right.
Now, at the same time, I'm going to say that I think a guy like DeAndre Hopkins or Julio Jones or Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill, they're a more traditional wideout.
Right.
And their stats, to me, are more impressive. Don't get me wrong, Michael Thomas has a lot of yards and a lot of receptions, but he is 70th in the NFL. Now, that's massive because that means he's in, 70th in yards per catch. So 70th in how many yards he gets for every catch. 70th is pretty far back because that's going through 32 teams twice. Yeah. Every team's, and it probably doesn't round up like that, but every team's number 1 and number 2 receiver on average would be better in yards per catch than Michael Thomas. He is also, his average target distance in the NFL is 89th, which is even worse.
Which is midway into the third strings or your slot guys.
Yeah. But the reason why Michael Thomas's stats are so high, Michael Thomas was number 1 in targets in the NFL. Michael Thomas got the ball thrown to him a lot.
300 times a game.
And yes, 300 times a game, as Devontae Parker said. But, I'm not going to say it's bad that he gets targeted and it's bad that he makes these catches. No. But it's not as impressive to me to make a catch 10 yards down the field and bring it in 100 times rather than, all right, DeAndre Hopkins, we're going to send you downfield. I'm going to lob you up a ball as Deshaun Watson. You have to go in there. You're getting covered by Stephon Gilmore and Devin McCourty, and you have to come down with that ball in the back of the end zone on the sideline. that's the type of plays that these bigger players make.
Right.
That's the type of play that Julio Jones has to make. And you watch the highlights of Julio Jones in that Super Bowl.
That's the catches
that I think of when I think of the best receivers in the NFL. Right. When I think of Micahel Thomas, I think of him making a catch short and underneath in traffic.
Put his shoulder down, get those 2 yards after contact.
Yeah.
Fight for those yards.
Really, the debate could even become, can you even put wide out receivers and slot receivers? Can you really compare them as the same position, really? Because what their job is so different, right? Micahel Thomas does a lot of different stuff than a guy like Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins. And I haven't even touched on Tyreek Hill, whose job is literally just to sprint down the field because he is so fast. So kind of my argument here would be that I think that, yes, his stats are impressive, but he's kind of like he's a system-wide receiver. He gets thrown the ball a lot in a place where he can make the plays, whereas Hopkins, he's going up and he's making these challenging catches and still making all these catches. And, these other guys, and I'll probably talk about this later, the receivers who I think are better than Thomas. But I really think that Thomas, you can't even compare him to guys like that. He's the best at what he does. He's better than Julian Edelman at making catches underneath, and Edelman's incredible at it. But I find it really hard to compare him to a guy like DeAndre Hopkins because what they do is so different. Cole?
All right. Well, you made some good points there, and I see where you're coming from. But we're just going to throw this to a little statistic called the contested catch rate. And contested catch rate, what that means, if a throw is contested, like basically 50-50 balls, right?
Right.
This is it. DeAndre Hopkins catches 46%. 46% of those balls. That's number 16 in the league. That is a good stat. That is great. Micahel Thomas catches 63% of those balls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4 in the league.
Yeah.
So you can send him deep. He can make a contested catch.
Well, I think, and you might have to correct me on this, but a catch can be contested even if it's 5 yards down the field. If the coverage is tight enough, it could be a 50-50 ball 10 yards down the field. And
yeah, but is Drew Brees going to throw a 50-50 ball 5 yards down the field?
No, probably not. Or 10 yards down the field, probably not. He's a good quarterback. And what I'm saying is percentage also doesn't show the amount of times he gets thrown the ball downfield. And yes, he can make the catches when he gets thrown downfield, but what'd you say, 67%?
63%.
63%, okay. Well, I don't know the exact numbers on that, but and Hopkins is less, but my bet is that Hopkins gets thrown a lot more balls downfield than Micahel Thomas.
Right.
The majority of Micahel Thomas's receptions and yards come from underneath passes. And, with the same argument, which also kind of helps you, but DeAndre Hopkins, a lot of his catches are going to come underneath too. But what I'm really talking about is not kind of like, yes, I agree. Micahel Thomas can make a catch downfield.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that that's not his primary role in their offense.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that all of his stats have to be kind of taken with a little bit more of like a grain of salt because of where he's making the catches.
And you mentioned contested catch rate.
You could argue that making catches 5 yards down the field is easy. But if you're just going to make a catch 5 yards down the field and you're going to take it and just get 5 yards, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to get thrown the ball? No, you're not. You're not going to get thrown the ball. What matters in the NFL is that you take that catch and do something with it. You convert first downs. You go get those yards.
Yes.
Micahel Thomas's yards a catch is 11.6, which isn't the best in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. DeAndre Hopkins is 11.2.
Wow.
So Micahel Thomas is getting more bang for his buck.
Wow.
Every catch he gets, he's getting more yards on average. Not much, but he is getting more yards on average.
I think, Cole, you mentioned...
Also, and this isn't going to be too surprising because he is catching 5-yard slants a lot of the times. You're right. This isn't going to be too surprising, but he leads the league in among wide receivers.
Yards after catch.
He's number 1 in yards after catch.
I'll give you credit for saying in wide receivers. Cause was like,
yeah,
McCaffrey.
Overall,
even Kamara probably has more than him. Okay,
He's overall.
Yeah.
Number 5 overall in the league. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is ahead of him. There's some other names in there. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but he's number 1 among wide receivers with 583 yards after the catch. DeAndre Hopkins has 387 yards after catch in total. Overall, all players, that is number 27.
Right. That's impressive. Cole, you mentioned contested. I finally get to say it.
Go ahead.
You mentioned contested catch rate. Who you're matching up against has a big part of that. Like I said, a 5-yard pass can be contested if you're covered by certain people.
Yeah, but like Cole said, you're not going to get the pass.
Right.
10 yards down like that. But
right.
Continue.
And the cornerbacks you're matching up with still make, whether or not it's the most, it happens every play. The cornerbacks still matter. Hopkins is going up, and this season, he went up against Gilmore. Did he go up against Jalen Ramsey this year?
I don't think so.
Maybe once.
Nah.
When did they play?
Ooh, did they?
Yeah. Wait, week 2 they played each other.
Yeah, okay.
So
I don't know if Ramsey played
Jalen Ramsey, he can talk all he wants. The guy's an elite cornerback.
Yeah.
I hate saying it because the guy is just he's just a big beep. I don't like Jalen Ramsey. I know we tried to leave what kind of people they are out of it, but I mean, it's Jalen Ramsey. So the amount in the NFC South, their corners are pretty weak. And does that make all of the difference? No. Does it make a humongous world difference? No.
And he plays a lot of good teams with good corners as well. But
it makes differences. And again, it all comes down to how they're used in their schemes. You can't fault Thomas for being used in that scheme. No. He's very good in that scheme, and that's what I think what the NFL is about more than anything. It's finding a scheme that works for you, and that helps you optimize what you can do. Because everybody in that league is talented, but you have to find the right fit to make the talent contribute and go into the play.
Yeah, absolutely. I do get that. And I think Micahel Thomas is in the perfect scheme for him. I think that Sean Payton and Drew Brees work wonders with him. And he's obviously not a one-man band. He's probably on the most talented roster in the NFL, arguably.
Yeah.
Or maybe not last year. I think you might have to give that one to Kansas City or Baltimore, but this year they probably are the most talented roster.
Right.
But I mean, the way I look at it is, I already got over receptions, yards. He was tied for third in touchdowns with 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's tied for third among wide receivers. But what I look at in terms of production is a catch rate, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And when you throw to this guy, how many times is he going to catch the football? Well, this isn't true catch rate. This is just flat catch rate, right? This is every throw going his way. How many times is he going to catch it? Micahel Thomas is at 80.8. That's first among wide receivers. Because obviously if you throw to a running back on a screen, he's going to catch that most of the time, which is why they are higher. DeAndre Hopkins catches it 69.3% of the time, which is 13th among wide receivers, which is still very good.
Yeah, it's
just
very
Thomas is better among wide receivers.
Right.
Quarterback rating when targeted, DeAndre Hopkins has a 105 quarterback rating, which is number 8, which is still very, very good. DeAndre Hopkins is an incredible receiver, but Micahel Thomas, when targeted, the quarterback rating is 121.4.
Again, it's so weird hearing 100.5 and having to do math. Like, okay, hold up.
Yeah, for those who don't understand,
105 is average. How does that make sense? Continue.
People who don't understand the quarterback rating system,
that's just make it out.
It's out of 158.3.
Right, this is football. So. We don't want to have to do math, except when we're calculating. Should we go for 2?
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is that, he plays in the slot. So what? Why does the slot guy have to be overrated?
Yeah, and I'm not saying particularly that he's, like, terrible. I'm not saying he's terrible. I think he's a great receiver, and I think he's one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
I just think it's really hard to compare a slot receiver to a wideout. You know what I mean? Because a guy in the slot is gonna be up against slot corners who are most of the time not as good as the outside corners.
Right.
Whereas like Hopkins is either going to be in double coverage or up against the best corners in the league.
Right.
Whereas Thomas is inside, he might be up against a linebacker or a smaller cornerback.
The way I look at it is that he's going to be up. If he's not against the number one corner, which he might not be because he does play in the slot a lot, he's going to be double covered.
Yeah.
Because who else are you going to double cover on that Saints team?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who
They just got Emmanuel Sanders in free agency, but last year they had Traquan Smith and Ted Ginn as the other two receivers.
Ted Ginn's still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
still playing?
You're going to double cover them? No, you're not. You're double covering Micahel Thomas. You're double covering the guy who's going to catch 4 out of 5 passes thrown his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Shoot. Like I was saying earlier, though, I really see that like slot receivers have a much different job and a much different role in an offense than a wideout. And it just and the stats you've brought to my attention today, some of them I didn't know already.
Right.
I'll admit, and you made a very good argument.
Yeah.
I would still say that I think that slot receiver is a very different position than wideout.
It's like you're evaluating a free safety versus a strong safety.
And
you can say, well, Jamal Adams had more tackles than, I'm going to say, Micah Fitzpatrick. You can say, well, Jamal Adams had more tackles, Micah Fitzpatrick had more interceptions. They're two different positions, so it's really hard to evaluate.
Well, I think that the bottom line that, we're debating whether it's overrated or not. I think that the bottom line is that they're both number one wide receivers in the NFL. They both deserve the respect.
Yeah,
Yes.
And I'm not saying that Micahel Thomas shouldn't start in the Saints or anything like that.
Right.
I'm also not saying don't draft him in fantasy football. Like,
draft him.
You draft him.
This is my early fantasy football advice before we do a fantasy football episode.
Which is coming.
Draft Micahel Thomas. He is a stat hoarder.
Yeah.
Draft him.
The
crying
dude,
out loud.
the dude will help you. All right. So I've got a question, guys. Every time, when yards after catch and reception targets and all that came up, it was prefaced with per wide receiver, which makes sense. You can't be comparing Micahel Thomas to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Unless
Christian
you're us.
McCaffrey was also number one in a lot of those statistics.
Unless you're us. Off the top of you.
Are you
Not
really
much,
going to ask
pretty
me
much
that?
no time to prepare. We got time to spare. Why not? Who is, I don't want to say better, because then we just go into that. I don't want to say who is more efficient or who do you, I'm going to say this. Who do you build your scheme around?
McCaffrey or Thomas?
McCaffrey.
Yes.
I think it's got to be McCaffrey. You can't build a scheme around one receiver.
Okay.
McCaffrey.
It's a hard question.
I'm trying to phrase it. I don't want to say who's
Yeah.
the best player, because then we just go into that.
Who's the more valuable player?
That's
I mean,
Yeah,
I
hard
saw
question.
a
I
gridiron.
Still your question.
hard thing. You make it easy. Thanks a lot.
I'm gonna reference a Gridiron Heights episode.
Not sponsored by Bleacher Report. We are not sponsored.
Although they
Yeah.
make great content, so I would check them out.
Yeah, you got. We're not sponsored by Bleacher Report. We would.
I am
like
going
to
to
be
reference
sponsored.
one. I believe that it was the one where they're all at like the quarterbacks who have been like benched or whatever, and they're all like at the hunting.
Oh, I remember
Cat-
that. I like.
And there's a press conference that Cam Newton's annoyed about, and it shows Kyle Allen up there, and the reporter says, "It's really riveting the way you hand the ball to McCaffrey."
Yeah.
I mean, not to diss Kyle Allen or whatever, but you can build a scheme around Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, you build schemes around quarterbacks and running backs.
Right.
You don't build schemes around receivers. But
You can-
who is more valuable? Like, who would you be willing to pay more money to? McCaffrey or
I'm
Thomas?
paying more money to a receiver.
Yeah, running backs have
Why?
a.
Because a receiver can last you.
Okay,
Right.
And
But
15 years.
who? not
Who's more
ignoring the
valuable?
position.
Money out of the way, position out of the way. The two of those players, who do you want on your team more?
Pretty much who are you drafting for fantasy football?
Yeah. Well, no, because that gives it different because you always want to draft running backs first.
Yeah.
In a real team.
I think Christian McCaffrey.
Scott, you should make a magazine. You should make a magazine.
Should make a
A
magazine.
fantasy football magazine. Just sell it for half the price of everybody else. Buy our magazine, guys. Coming out sometime if football ever
You're giving
comes
me
back.
a lot more work than I can deal with, man.
I believe in you. You're not taking APs.
I am. I'm taking 3 APs. What are you talking about?
So am I. All right, Cole, you're on magazine duty. We got classes.
I would take Christian McCaffrey because he can do both. He had 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah,
he had
yeah,
1,000 yards rushing. And
He's
he can
such
do
a versatile
Swiss
player.
Army knife.
He's pretty
I'm taking
good.
the Swiss Army knife.
I'm actually a little shocked that he didn't get offensive player of the year this past year. And I know Thomas broke the record, but the fact that Christian McCaffrey was able to do it so well, both running and receiving, is, to me, it's incredible. He's such a versatile player. Any team would be happy to have him. Unfortunately for Carolina, they did have to pay him a lot of money, and like we talked about on the last episode with Dak Prescott, paying people a lot of money doesn't always work out. So, but yeah.
If you haven't watched our
McCaffrey's
last
amazing.
episode, if you haven't watched the last episode, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing?
You gotta
Pause
watch
this
them
one
in
and go
order.
do that
You're
already.
insane. If
Yeah.
if you made it to the 51-minute, 10-second mark of episode 2 and you haven't seen episode 1, well, you totally should because it's amazing. Not to
Yeah.
brag. I might be a little biased, but I think it's incredible. I think
All right.
we're gonna win the Pulitzer.
I'm gonna say we got one more question to pose for you guys.
Yes.
We started this whole debate. This whole thing started with this question, right? We got not 9 minutes before we're gonna cut off the Micahel Thomas conversation.
Yeah,
so,
we got loads of
So here's the question. You're in the NFL huddle. You're in an NFL huddle. You got your pads on. You got your helmet on. You're playing for whatever team you want. If you're Ben, you're probably playing for the Steelers. Cole, you're probably playing for the Broncos. I'm definitely playing for
the
New
Jets.
England. No,
The Jets. He said it. He
New
said
England.
Jets.
I said New
He said
England.
Jets. Let the record show that you said Jets,
I
good
did
sir.
not.
I don't know.
He
I heard
said
New York Jets.
He
Or
said
was it
Jets.
Bills? He
I
might have
would
said
never.
Bills.
Are you gonna trace audio signatures, Scotty?
Oh my goodness.
You don't have the time to make a
All right.
magazine.
So I'm playing for the New England Patriots.
Jets.
So I had to throw it in there in the middle of my conversation.
Just to be
but
sure.
you're in the huddle. All right. You're playing offense or defense, but it's your decision. Would you rather, or would you find it easier? Which one would you rather do? Be covered by Stephon Gilmore.
On an island, right?
What?
On an island.
Yeah, single coverage.
And same thing if you're covering Thomas one-on-one.
Yeah. Single coverage, you against Gilmore. You have to come down with the ball. Single coverage, you against Thomas. You have to force an incompletion. And it has to be you that made the incompletion. It can't be like, all right, you held him.
It can't be Butterfingers.
Or you
Michael
pass
Thomas.
interfered him. Or Michael Thomas dropped it.
It can't be
Or
Butterfingers
Drew
Nelson
Brees
Aguilar.
overthrew him or something
Drew
like
Brees
that.
does not overthrow.
But
He's overthrowing someone.
yeah, so
That's a
what are you going
hypothetical.
for? You catching on Gilmore or are you breaking up a pass to Thomas?
I think.
Personally, for me, here's my logic behind it. See, you screwed up my whole argument when you said I had to be just me one-on-one.
You were going to say Gilmore
My whole
because you...
point was going to be I'm going to cover Michael Thomas because if any coach is stupid enough to leave Michael Thomas on single coverage, I get to yell at them. So that was going to be
It's
my
like,
whole
So you have like an
you didn't give me
excuse?
my safety help. You didn't give me my safety
Yeah, what the heck? What the heck, man?
I can yell at the coach, but I would rather go against Gilmore, and here's why. This is just me. This has nothing to do with who Stephon Gilmore is as a player. This has nothing to do with who Michael Thomas is as a player. I can't cover for crap. Okay? I am so bad at coverage. So if people if people like when we play pickup football games are going to burn me, what do you think Michael Thomas is going to do to me? Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
So,
shoot.
Much rather take my
well, I
odds
mean, what's
against
Stephon Gilmore going to do to you?
Well, knowing that I might get lucky, might get a tip or something like that.
Stephon Gilmore is still strong. He can just.
Well, I'm not winning either one here, so I'm just picking which I'm going to get at least embarrassed by.
Yeah. Honestly, using Cole's logic, I would pick Gilmore just because I've got so much mass in my midsection that he'll need his car to get around it. But if I'm using logic, I'm going to assume that I'm an NFL caliber athlete because I am not. Honestly, maybe I'm just a salty Pittsburgh fan that TJ Watt didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, and I really wanted him to because I'm a Steeler fan. But I think I'm going to try to beat Gilmore strictly because it all comes full circle because Micahel Thomas, or whoever it was, had a point. Did Parker beat Gilmore in Week 17? Parker, he's a good receiver.
But my point is, like...
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would say, like, okay, he was one of 2 receivers all year to score a touchdown on him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a catch.
I could give you so many stats on Gilmore. I'm not going to.
This is a catch 22. But
all right, if it's up to me for what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna first answer it the way Cole did, and honestly,
I mean, Scotty's the fastest of us.
Honestly,
so he's got the best chance.
If I was playing offense, I'd probably be a big, tall running back. And if I was playing defense, I'd probably be a safety. So neither of these situations I would be forced into doing this, so I don't have to make a choice here. But if I really have to make the choice, I think I'm going to try to cover Thomas, frankly, just because, I watched Gilmore a lot this year.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. He makes quarterbacks and receivers look bad. The way that he's able to put himself in front of a receiver and get his hand on the ball. That famous play that put New England in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia, against Jacksonville. Like, that's the type of player I think about when I think about Gilmore. And
the dude's got some insane
I would rather
balls.
try
Those
to.
are insane.
And I think that the fact that everybody keeps picking on Stephon Gilmore for one bad game against Devontae Parker shows
who would do that?
Is if that's all you have.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Exactly.
That shows that he's pretty dang good if that's all you got.
I mean, he did get his ankles absolutely broken against the Bills. Was that Week 16?
Yeah.
On that cut route.
Yeah, on that cut route, he got beat deep.
That was
John Brown.
But still, 2 touchdowns all year, and I think I saw
offensively or defensively.
He scored 2 touchdowns, and he also
that's what I'm asking.
Only allowed 2 touchdowns. I think he had 6 interceptions. The QBR against him was below 50. Against New York. Early in the season when Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts, Sam Darnold's QBR in that game was below 10.
Jeez.
So
and it doesn't have to be out of 100 to know that is bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best against a guy who's gonna be a lot.
Who's just
better
gonna knock
me
me down right at the line.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a catch-22.
Either way, I'm getting burned.
Yeah. It's a catch-22, and 22 is my favorite number, so I might as well make a catch.
I'm going to yell at my coach either way for putting me in this position.
Yeah, I'm also going to say, like, it'd be kind of funny, like, what's more embarrassing? Having Micahel Thomas catch a pass on you and then run into the end zone because you're too small to tackle him, or also, having Stephon Gilmore have a pick 6 on you? Because what's more rare?
I think we did see that it's going to be a little more embarrassing in the moment if Micahel Thomas makes a catch on you, because Micahel Thomas is going to let you hear about it.
Yeah. You ain't at my table.
You ain't even sitting at my table, man.
Get out of the table, man. Yeah, I mean, for me it'd be, do I want to get knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Micahel Thomas, or do I want to get knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Stephon Gilmore? Micahel Thomas is a lot bigger than Stephon Gilmore. Cole's Lodge is just like, hey, coach, what the are you doing to me? Coach, you're killing me, man.
All right, I think we're about up.
Yeah, I drank all my water. I'm thirsty. Let's take a quick 90 seconds. Cue some break music, Scotty.
All right, let's see.
Feel free to listen forward.
If you want to skip ahead, that's up to you. But we're gonna take a quick break.
Be nice if you listen.
minute into the water break. If you're still listening, like I said last time, I'm pretty impressed with you. Honestly, I'm not sure if anybody listened to this, but if you are listening right now, comment the letter S in the comments. Just the letter S. Nobody will know what you're doing, but just do it. Comment the letter S. Don't want the intro to start playing again. All right. We're back.
Oh, greetings.
Hello. We're back.
That was some great music, Scotty.
Awesome music.
That's going to be elevator music one day. When we're rich and famous, they're going to try to put that in the elevators, and we're going to say, no. We're going to sue all the hotels for copyright.
Elevator music.
All right. Well,
it's not my goal.
Copyright.
It works.
yeah, can we name it that?
Wow. I'm a little offended.
We got Fire by Big C and Elevator Music by Scotty.
Oh, man.
Elevator by Little S.
All right.
You can name it after the biggest pain in our butts. You could call it Copyright by Scott.
Nah, Dr. Dre's going to sue him for that. Too close. All right. Well, since we're just sticking with Scotty, all right. On Tuesday, one of the most intense and historic rivalries in all of Europe, and a name that I'm certainly going to pronounce wrong, so if you're German, don't be mad at me. Der Klassiker was played between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. Again, if I'm pronouncing these wrong, please don't unsubscribe and dislike the video. We love you. We love you if you're German, and if you're not German. We love everybody. We don't discriminate here. All right, too much talking. All right, and this game had some serious title implications. Scott, if you're ever going to stop laughing, and you would be so kind, please talk us through some of the action. It was a good game.
Yeah. All right. So some of the stats from the game. Before I give you the score, I'm going to keep you waiting for those of you who didn't watch the game. For those of you who did watch the game,
it was a good game.
It was a good game. Yeah,
it was a good game.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know
how it turns out, but
let's talk about it. Possession stats. Dortmund had 51% possession to Bayern's 49% possession. Just means that 51% of the time, Dortmund had the ball. Shots and shots on goal. Dortmund had 13 shots, 5 on goal. Bayern had 11 shots, 5 on goal.
So busy days for the goalies.
Dortmund committed 9 fouls. Bayern committed 15. Each team had 2 yellow cards, and there were no red cards. Dortmund was offsides 3 times, and Bayern Munich was offside once. Dortmund had 4 corners. Bayern had 3 corners. Dortmund's keeper made 3 saves. Bayern's keeper made 4 saves. And now for the score. So
hold up real quick. Cole, guess the score.
No, I already told him the score.
Oh, you did?
I already told him the score.
Oh, I didn't know.
All right, so let me actually look at this. In the 43rd minute, Joshua Kimmich of Bayern Munich scored a goal in which he chipped the Dortmund keeper, placing it almost perfectly into the top left corner. It wasn't the sweetest looking goal as it was a chip shot, but it was a really good goal from outside the box.
His butterfingers helped it go into.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar hands.
But great goal. And Bayern took the win 1-0. And I think it was a very entertaining game.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some games where it's just pass it here, pass it there. Nothing happens.
No, this
game,
up and down
there
the
weren't
field.
a lot of goals, and there weren't a whole lot of shots on goal. They were moving the ball. It's in Dortmund's half, Bayern's half, Dortmund's half, Bayern's half, Dortmund's half, Bayern's half. It was insane. Within 2 minutes in, that great through ball in.
Yeah.
Dortmund had a really good scoring chance.
Yeah.
And that was just this is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah.
I think each team had a goal line clearance in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at some of the players who are playing in this game, you got Lewandowski versus Haaland, Serge Gnabry versus Jadon Sancho, who's probably the most coveted player in the world right now. Right. It's going to be a good game, and the rivalry between these two teams, it was kind of weird to watch the game with no fans, because this is the 2 best teams in Germany playing in an important game with nobody watching.
And The Atlanta Falcons are probably mad after watching that game because Dortmund got to play crowd noises in. And they're like, hey, why don't we get to do that? Honestly, there were times where I looked down at my phone and I'm just listening. It sounds like a real game. Singing, it sounded like there were people. If I didn't, there were no stands, I'm like, oh, wow, they're playing in front of the people.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's not the same, but it creates some of the atmosphere. Maybe not the electricity part of it.
I think you have to wonder if the NHL is going to do something similar when they're playing.
Yeah. Or any sport when they come back, because really this is the only major sports league that's come back.
Right.
That's really noticeable. The Bundesliga is the first one to come back. This game had implications, though, outside of the fact that it was a great game. It's a massive game in the title race. And with 6 games left, I think you said, Ben, 6 games left, Bayern Munich has a 7-point lead.
Right.
And so for a little bit of context, in soccer, you get 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw. And there's no overtime in league play. So Dortmund has, 6 games left to make up 7 points on Bayern. And it's easy to gain 7 points.
Yeah.
But for a team like Bayern Munich, it doesn't happen a lot that they drop 7 points.
Bayern would have to really fall. Bayern would have to use their Champions League semifinal wheels falling off the bus abilities in the Bundesliga.
And had Dortmund won this game,
it would have been a 1 point gap.
It would have been a 1 point gap.
With momentum in Dortmund's favor.
Exactly. And really, this was an extremely close game, and Dortmund dominated most of the stats, or not dominated. They won most of the stat battles, but they lost the game. And it really comes down to, oh my gosh, that moth almost hit me in the face.
It's not a beeline.
It really comes down to most likely like Bayern's got an older, more experienced team. Guys like Lewandowski and Neuer and Muller and Goretzka,
they're the old guard. Hummels was in there.
Hummels, all these guys are experienced players. They've been to the World Cup. They've played a lot. Holland is 19.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. Like, he's just recently, but he was signed this year for Dortmund, and he's in a title race now.
Right.
Jadon Sancho is very young.
He's American, right?
No.
English?
Yeah, he's English. That's why he's rumored to be going to either Liverpool or Chelsea or one of those teams.
That's exactly what Liverpool needs. Another guy that can put on the league.
Yeah.
And run really fast. Mo Salah gets sold if that happens.
It was a massive game. Holland had a few big chances. One in particular, I thought he was going to score. I don't remember exactly when it was, but he had a decent shot.
It sounds
but it was an incredible game. Major implications for the title race, Champions League spots.
Right.
Massive game, massive rivalry. We'll talk a little bit more about my opinion of what could possibly come of this game later in the hurry-up offense. But that's about all I got. There were other games today. Nothing really, no really massive news as far as the rest of soccer, though. Just the same as last time.
Right. So there were no massive really games today. But this weekend, the newest and potentially probably last chapter of the Peyton Manning, not Eli Manning, Brady rivalry took place. And it wasn't in Foxborough. It wasn't in Indianapolis. It wasn't in Denver. I'm saying that for Cole. And there were some really good games in Denver, Cole.
Yeah.
There were. It wasn't even in Tampa Bay.
Nope.
It was on a golf course with Tyler Woods is like, that's like we're not trying to get copyrighted. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
And from this game had it all. There were amazing shots. There were some ruthless burns. It was the sports reporter's dream. So I really want to get Cole's opinion because Cole was really amped up about this the other night.
Yeah, Cole loves golf so much.
Cole, you can probably.
Golf is amazing. Golf is. It's something.
Cole,
what it did was that golf game, even though I did not know much about golf, I had not seen sports in a very long time, and it was sports, so I didn't really care if it was golf or what it was. But
I can't watch golf.
It was Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. Not on the football field, as Ben said. It was a fun thing to watch. But the important thing is that $20 million were raised for COVID-19 relief. And that's what it was there for. They fought through just pouring rain the entire time. And the announcers just burning each other constantly.
It's crazy that they won because Peyton's not really good in weather games.
Yeah.
As Tom Brady said, he's more of a dome hitter.
Yeah, he's more of a dome hitter.
We can't.
I don't know. He must have learned something in Denver. I don't know. But I want to give some props to somebody who wasn't even playing. Russell Wilson. Basically, Russell Wilson, what he did is, I forget which hole it was, he said, I'm going to donate 100,000 meals to the COVID-19 effort, to the COVID-19 relief effort. For every shot that is hit within, I think it was either 15 feet or 15 yards of the hole.
That's awesome.
And on that particular hole, I think it was Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, and then Peyton Manning. All hit theirs within 15 feet. So that's 300,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's when you accidentally miss a putt.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. And also,
Tiger Woods into it too?
how the game went, how the match went, or I don't follow golf too closely, so whatever you call it. How it went was Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning got a 3-point lead. They got a 3-point lead over Brady and Mickelson, and then they got it to within 1. So I was just thinking, Tom Brady's coming back against Peyton Manning.
Yeah, comeback by Brady against
Cole had flashbacks.
I do have flashbacks, so. But Peyton and Tiger Woods held on for the win. But I think that everybody won that because $20 million were raised.
Yeah,
so.
That's
my take on it.
I wish we could actually show Brady's chip. I think it was for birdie.
Oh my god!
Whatever that means. To be honest.
whatever that
means. We here at the predominantly football podcast, we are what you like to call golf aficionados. And we only pretend to be stupid so we don't make everybody feel bad. Because we like our viewers and we don't want you to feel bad. Yeah. If somebody would tell us what they mean, they would be endlessly appreciated. But that Brady shot was just insane.
Yeah. Another highlight for the reel.
And then me and Pages had a good time that it looked like he ripped his pants on that shot.
He did.
Right on his
He leans over to pick up the ball and his pants split right down the middle. Oh my
goodness. They split TV. Right at the
Yeah. Oh my
gosh. That's got to be an embarrassing moment. Tom Brady's had some embarrassing moments in Florida, from walking into the dude's house, which must have been pretty interesting. It's like, Hey, Barbara, Tom Brady's in the fridge. Ask him if he wants a beer. You're Tom Brady. Yeah. I'm lost. I haven't lived in this state. I haven't lived anywhere else for 19 years?
Yeah, well, he lived in Cali too. But
he grew up in Cali. He gets beers.
I was gonna say something. The roasts from that game. We mentioned
Charles Barkley and Peyton Manning were there, so you knew there were going to be some qualities.
We mentioned the Brady calling out Manning for his dome hitting abilities, but I'm trying to remember something that Manning said. But
wasn't Manning it's strange that
basically Peyton Manning said something along the lines of, I was thinking about who I was going to get for my caddy, and he said, I was thinking about Eli Manning, maybe Nick Foles. Belichick would be a good option.
Yeah. Belichick.
Yeah.
System golfer.
But the one that I wanted to focus on, I literally turned on the TV, right? And the golf channel's on, and I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm going to go up.
Real quick,
I'm going to go up in a few seconds. I don't really want to watch golf. But so basically what happened is I think it was Phil Mickelson. He had
the round mound.
Yeah, I know. But he had a good shot out of the sand. And this professional golfer there, I don't know his name, who was commentating, said, "Oh, that's a really good shot."
There are golfers other than those two?
Yeah, he was commentating.
Really?
Yeah, and then Charles Barkley was like, "Oh, he's a professional golfer. He should make that shot every time." And then
Shaq should make his free throws.
The professional golfer is like, "Well, I'm a professional golfer and I wouldn't make that shot every time." And they kind of went back and forth a little bit, but then it cut to showing some more golfing, and this pro golfer who's commentating says almost under his breath, like he's trying to hide it. He says, Charles, I'd really like to see your fat try to dunk now. So funny. I'm just sitting there like, did he really just say fat on live television? Yes, he said fat on live television. They went back and forth talking about that, they call it the Feed America movement because feeding Charles would be too difficult and stuff like that. But
Shaq was just sitting at home like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have learned well.
It was pretty funny. I really enjoyed that little bit.
Can you imagine how big of a landslide it would have been if Tony Romo played?
Yeah.
Because Tony Romo's like, it makes sense that Peyton won, and it would make sense that Tony Romo wins. They've had lots of time over their careers to play golf.
I was going to add one thing. I also wanted to draw attention to another charity thing that happened. It wasn't exactly a golf match, but Robert Kraft sold his Super Bowl 51 championship ring for somewhere in the ballpark of $1 billion and donated all of the proceedings to charity. Not specifically specifically Corona relief charity.
So if the entire Patriots team over the past few years gave all of their rings up for that much, they could cure the national debt.
Yeah, that's a lot of Super Bowl
debt
rings.
would be no more.
Yeah.
It's not like Robert Kraft has rings to spare or anything.
Yeah, no.
But it's a
Then
great
again,
thing.
he gave up the Super Bowl 51 one. Why didn't you give up the Rams Super Bowl one?
Yeah.
That one was boring.
That was the first one. I would give away the Eagles one.
The Eagles one.
First
we
one.
beat the Eagles.
Oh, the first time. I'm like,
that's the one where Donovan McNabb was throwing up in the huddle.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's owner
gives
up his Super Bowl ring and buys a billion cheesesteaks.
Doesn't even make sense either to give up.
The other ones are too memorable.
Yeah, the Rams one is number 6. It's very important. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all on the golf topic.
And again, I think the Rams one has the most amount of diamonds, so he could have gotten more bang for his buck on.
Yeah, man, come on.
Yeah, well, I know.
Don't you love people?
I know the the Super Bowl 51 ring happened to have 28 diamonds and 3 rubies.
What a coincidence! That's such a strange amount of numbers in that order.
I remember reading that.
From?
I remember reading that and then seeing some kind of tweet from the Falcons owner, something about just let it go, man. We get it.
No.
They're never going to live that down.
I don't think anybody's going to let that go.
No, never. Definitely not. As long as the New Orleans Saints are a franchise, nobody will forget.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready for some hurry-up offense?
Yes, sir.
All right. This one's directed at Scotty, but I'm interested interested.
Then how many timeouts we got?
Andy Reid had said it 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He's out of timeouts. He used them all in the first minute of the third quarter.
I want to challenge this play. I'm challenging the spot for another yard. All right. I'm directing this one at Scotty, but I'm interested to see what Cole responds because I wonder how much he pays attention. Does Dortmund have a chance at the title, and will they win it?
Well, Cole, let's have you answer first.
Do they have a chance?
All right. Well, it's hard to say if they'll win it, but according to my good friend Scott Lebo, apparently Dortmund was 7 points back in the standings, correct?
Correct.
7 points back, and with 6 games to go, it's going to be a tough thing to accomplish. The leading team is going to have to seriously choke away some games.
What's the leading team's name?
What's the leading team's name, Cole?
Yeah, why don't you keep talking, Scott?
Okay. So,
they didn't.
Frankly, Dortmund had a great start to the year. And at the beginning of the year, people thought that this might be the year that they win. But right now, the gap is too big, and maybe it'd be different if they had won today.
People have been saying this since 2014, though.
The gap, there's a big gap. And frankly, in my opinion, currently, Bayern is a better team. Dortmund haven't gotten to the point where they've surpassed him yet. Bayern has more talent. They've got a better goalkeeper. They've got a better striker. They've got a better midfield, and they've got a better back line. They're better all across the board. Yes, Dortmund has Haaland, but Lewandowski is a better player than Haaland. And yes, And probably Dortmund has one of, if not the best winger in the world right now, Jadon Sancho, but it's not going to match up to the rest of Bayern's midfield. Frankly, Bayern's a better team, and they're going to hold on, in my opinion. But Dortmund, unless they sell Sancho, Dortmund is going to make a really good push for the title again next year, and Leipzig will probably make a push as well.
Leipzig,
So, yeah.
Yeah, Bayern won the
Let
title.
the record show I said Bayern.
Bayern won the title in 2013, and nobody else has won it since. Because what the is parity in the Bundesliga? Am I right?
Well, it's even worse than Serie A, man.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Or Ligue 1. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God.
Is parity even a word in French?
I'm a French speaker here, but I only took French once, so don't ask me.
All right. All right, guys. Which NHL qualifying series are you most looking forward to?
Qualifying series?
Yeah, I can read them again if you want. I'll have to pull it up.
So not the round robins.
No,
Okay,
the
'cause
series.
I was gonna say
The round robin would win.
the Bruins and Tampa and the Caps is gonna be
That'd be
insanity.
insane, yeah.
But let me see. Let me get a look because
Edmonton,
apparently I don't know
Chicago,
as
Nashville,
much-
Arizona, Vancouver, Minnesota, Calgary, Winnipeg, Pittsburgh, Montreal.
I'm just gonna say, I don't really know much, but
These
I'm gonna
three
say
are
Toronto, Columbus. I like the Maple Leafs a little bit, so
Yeah, they're
I'm
good
looking forward
they're
to
good
that.
for an easy game 7, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to, like I said, I started trying to get into hockey right before the break because I want to watch
this is
sports,
like
and
a
I'm looking
sign.
forward to it coming back.
Yeah, you better not. This is almost this is like strike one that every time you try to get into a new sport, a plague hits. So if there's a strike two, you're not allowed to watch anything else. Cole, best qualifying round. For me, it's Carolina and New York. I think that's going to be a fast series.
Oh, it's going to be a really good series. I think that because the Rangers obviously surging towards the end of the year. The Carolina Hurricanes, I don't think that they disappointed coming off of that Eastern Conference final run last year.
Do we see?
And I am looking forward to seeing the Columbus Blue Jackets because that is a team that you just cannot count out.
Right.
Like I did at the beginning of the year. I said they lost Artemi Panarin, they lost Sergei Bobrovsky, they lost Matt Duchene. They're done. That's what I thought.
So did Tampa.
Well, they proved me otherwise.
Tampa got slammed.
They are
that's funny.
Definitely a good team, and I'm looking forward to them playing Austin Matthews and company. But the one I look at the Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver
That could be a
Canucks.
fun series with Pedersen and Besser. Those two make magic together. They're blonde enough to be the Sedin twins.
Because I look at that one, and the Wild were on a mission at the end of last year.
Right.
They were playing their mind out, and they were a team that a lot of people thought was going to finish last in that division coming into the year, and they've just surged. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they can continue that. And the Vancouver Canucks, obviously with Pedersen, are a good team, so it's going to be. It's going to be a good series.
Yeah. All right, last question. Scotty, this one's directed for you. Which NHL teams will win the number 1 seed? Who's going to win the round robin?
The Bruins, of course, because
Caps.
Boston.
The Bruins can't beat the Caps.
Okay, whatever. I'm a Boston fan.
I'm
throughout
picking
all sports.
I'm picking the Caps because I'm a Caps fan, and
well, here's the way I look at it. Right,
And
the round
I'm gonna give
robin
it to
series
Boston
isn't going
and
to
Vegas.
matter that much, right?
Boston and Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. I say Washington, and I think it'll be really close. I hope St. Louis plays Colorado last because that's what it'll come down to. But I think St. Louis will win it.
Well, the way I look at it is that this isn't going to matter as much, right? This is just determining seeding.
Right.
Everybody still gets to play. So really the Tampa Bay Lightning aren't going to choke yet.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing here. So I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning they're going to treat this like the regular season, and they're going to go out and beat the crap out of everybody in there. And I think that they will come out in the East as the number 1. Though Boston and Washington are very talented teams, you can never count out Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Philadelphia's
gonna fight and claw just like they did.
I think if the season were to
playing
continue,
for
no
Wimbledon.
offense, Ben, I think that if Corona didn't happen, I think the Flyers would be the Metropolitan Division champion.
I am a Caps fan, and I 100% agree.
Based on how all that was trending, I think the Flyers would have been that
The
team.
Flyers would have overtaken him easily. But the brakes got thrown on. I'm looking forward to Ovechkin versus Pasternak, both coming off with some rest.
I'm a throw.
But in the West, I want to say Vegas, obviously. But the way I look at it is that they couldn't beat the Avalanche this regular season. They couldn't beat them. Those games blowouts in favor of Colorado. So I think I will go with Colorado.
I think I
think St. Louis, they're all in there, obviously, for a reason. They're all very good. They're all very talented teams. Dallas, you don't know. We thought they were going to score goals on everybody. We thought that they were going to win like that. They turn out to be a defensive team.
Right.
Oh, well, they still win. Vegas is one of the more talented teams in the league. They score goals. I think they led the league. They were up there in scoring chances in the regular season. And if Fleury gets it going, then he can be better than any guys.
If Fleury's hot, Vegas can be a cup contender.
If Fleury's hot, you're not beating Vegas if Fleury's hot. That's the bottom line. If he's hot,
Washington.
You're not getting there. That's how the Penguins won the Stanley
Washington?
Cup. I said if he's hot.
Yeah, he was hot.
All right.
All right.
Wait, all right, I want to throw some hockey names out there.
Yes, tell some names.
Because nobody knows that I know hockey, all right? I think it's really going to come down to teams, their best players. You got Ovechkin, you got McKinnon. And then, of course, I know a bunch of Boston players. You got Pasternak and Marchand, who everybody hates.
Yeah, everybody hates Marchand.
And Chara, who's a great defenseman.
I mean,
but
he's alive. If Chara hasn't turned to dust yet.
It's going to come down to what team is in the best shape coming back.
I think it's going to be whoever can play the fastest. And if you can dominate, I think the Caps can play fast, but they can also dominate physically. The West is going to be a killing field because everybody's either fast or really physical.
I think that I think the Avalanche come out on top, and I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think they're going to come out on top in the postseason because let's face it, they don't. Prove me wrong, Tampa Bay. Go out and do it. They haven't come out on top in the postseason. That hasn't been their time to shine. This is basically replacing the end of the regular season. So theoretically, we should see the regular season Tampa Bay Lightning full form here.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
All right, everyone. That's the end of our second show. As always, a big thanks to Big C for the aptly named fire intro. Thank you to YouTube for an easy way to release our content and for not being Podbean. Thank you for Instagram for helping us to really promote ourselves well. A lot of people are liking the Instagram. We wish for some more questions from you guys we get to talk about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have to come up with questions halfway through the show.
They're good questions, Ben.
They're good questions.
Thank you, Scotty, for elevator music, elevator bop.
And this fire beat that you're about to hear.
As always, thank you, Sound Effects, for the sound effects. Thanks again for the random person who will somebody please sponsor us.
Yeah. I want to make money from this. Come on.
Hey, prices are at an all-time low. Use the code word predominantly to save 15% off your next purchase at pleasesponsorus.org. That's pleasesponsorus.org. Please. I don't want to have to work.
Ben's got work tomorrow.
I got work tomorrow. It's going to be bad. And this almost goes without saying. We can't thank you guys enough. The listeners, again, if you're still here, you're just such a G. And we love you. But the love you showed our first episode is so greatly appreciated. In about 24 hours, we had 50 likes on it, which is actually...
No, 50 likes, 50 views.
Oh, 50 views.
50 views.
Still good. I think around 10 likes, which is really good. We'll take that. We'll take any view. We'll take any
dislikes.
Yeah, no dislikes.
No dislikes. People
there will probably be dislikes on this episode because we got a little bit more crazy in this one.
we were really chill.
That's not a challenge to anyone to dislike.
No. We're just knock wood.
Knock on wood.
Knock wood.
Yeah.
No dislikes. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, we really hope you're liking these. It seems like you are. Please tune in for more. If you've got some ideas or questions you want us to talk about, by all means, tell us. We love sports except for golf.
Yeah. In the future, we have a few people that we've thought of collabing with.
Right.
I know just last night I was talking to the guy from another podcast, The Bird Files, about a possible
Killer
collab
podcast, by the way.
in the future.
Bird Files.
So we'll see if that comes through in the future.
Subscribe to us, then subscribe to him.
We got some guys on campus as well who we might talk with about some other sports, basketball possibly coming up in the future.
Maybe some basketball news in the
yeah.
world.
So we got some stuff in the future that you guys should really be looking forward to.
Please give us questions on Instagram. If you have any questions, try to keep them sports related. Scotty's making me say that after the last one.
Yeah, I got
any
lot of
sports related questions. We will do our best. We will do research on golf. Okay,
that's a commitment.
I will do research on golf to do this. This has been the Predominantly Football Podcast. We're gonna be back on Friday. Woo! Thanks for listening. This is escalator theme.
No.